Most of us have a moment that we can look back and say, that was the moment everything changed. There's a before and an after in everybody's life, and it's what we do with the after that makes the difference. I heard a lady say once, it's probably been 30 years ago, life is full of moments. Some are good, some are bad, and we don't know the difference. Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm your Sassy Southern Grandma. Welcome back to the channel. That quote stayed with me. I heard it on probably a cassette tape of something, and it has stuck with me. And I think of it often when things happen in my life, and it's something that's worth thinking about. We all have a spot in our life. It could be the end of a relationship, the end of a friendship, the end of a marriage. You lose your child, you lose a parent, someone else that you care deeply about. It could be a job you thought you were going to have the rest of your life and suddenly it's gone. Maybe you just woke up one morning and said, I can't live like this anymore. We all have a before and after. It's like a line that's drawn in our life that we can all look back. If you've lived on this earth any amount of time, you probably have that line. I have a very dear friend who, her line is when she lost her son to suicide. I've had friends who had, from the outside, a great marriage, and all of a sudden that was over. That was me. I was that person. While we all have this mark of delineation in our life where we're going in one direction, we think everything's going a certain way, and all of a sudden that whole course changes, what matters is what we do after that line. We can react in many different ways. Of course, if you've lost something, even if it's a job, you're going to have a time of grief. And grief has no timeline. You can't say in 6 months everything will be okay. You can't say these are the 5 stages of grief. You can. Maybe it helps you process it a little better to have something to label it, but there's no rules. But what do you do once the initial shock subsides, once the initial difficulties subside, and you realize you've got to keep getting up every morning, you got to keep living, you've got to keep doing your thing? What do you do with that? That's what separates people from someone who tries to do everything they can to transform that into something worthwhile, and people who spiral the other way. My line was when my husband and father of 5 children decided he didn't want to be married anymore. It was at the time a total shock to me and everybody around me. My family had asked me some questions. Things had changed with him. He was acting differently. He was acting out of what we thought was his character. I had questions from a couple of people. What's going on? What do you think's happening? And I would not believe that it was what other people thought. But it was. And although it felt sudden at the time, and it still is very much a line in my life, I can look back now and see a couple of red flags, but not to the extent of how abrupt and how complete the breakoff was. One day, me, my husband, my 5 children are going in this direction, and what felt like the next day, he turned and decided to go a different direction. It was difficult. It was hard. I won't lie about it. It was devastating. Not only the loss of the relationship I thought I had, but the lifestyle, the plans, the dreams, the things we had talked about for the future, all of that was gone. Plus, I was now the person who had to provide for this family, because I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a homeschool mother. I had taught my children from birth on, but had around 4 or 5 started teaching them things like how to read, and I'm very thankful that I was able to teach all of them the basic things. But my whole life turned upside down. I had to go to work. I had to worry about making sure everybody was okay and making sure everybody was taken care of and everybody had everything they needed. And it came down to needs and not wants. Sometimes we were able to do the wants. Sometimes they were able to have the wants. But everything changed. My whole entire priorities, my everything changed. It was hard, and it was years of working and basically putting one foot in front of the other. Is basically, and that's what you do at the beginning. It's what you do in a grief process. It's what you do in a time of loss, a time of change, especially one you don't see coming. It's one foot in front of the other. Go to bed, go to sleep, get up, and put one foot in front of the other. And I'm not saying we didn't have some good times. My kids and I had a lot of fun together. We had times that we just did silly things. We did whatever we could afford and whatever was presented to us that we could take advantage of to make our life as good as we could. They're great kids. They've grown up to be good adults and productive citizens, if you want to call it that. They're all great people, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't take all the credit for that, because you can't take all the credit for everything your kids do. It's not all you, it's them and it's life. But what do you do after something like that? After the put one foot in front of the other. Some of us have more than one line. Some people, I have had patients especially that have shared tragedy after tragedy after tragedy that's happened in their life, and it is amazing to me that they are still with us, because some things I'm not sure I could live through. People somehow seem to do that. People find the resilience in themselves to keep going. Sometimes it's stumbling forward instead of one foot in front of the other. There were many days I felt like all I was doing was stumbling. A lot of it has to do with what we choose in the after. How do we choose to respond? The word responsible can mean I was responsible. I was responsible for my kids. But I was also, we are responsible for our responses. You could say response-able. We all can choose. I could have chosen a totally different way. I could have chosen to walk out too. I mean, literally, if one parent can leave, the other parent can leave. It happens. But there was no way I was going to do that. There were some times I got in the car and thought, there's the interstate. I got a full tank of gas. I could just keep driving. For a split second, I would think. And it wasn't that I wanted to leave my kids. I couldn't. There was no way. But the burden and the responsibility of knowing that I was the person. Even though I had family, even though I had friends, and a lot of people helped in a lot of ways. But ultimately, those 5 kids were mine, and I was going to raise them as best I could. I can look back now and think, I can't even imagine what my life would be like if that hadn't happened. I can't even imagine who I would be as the person who stayed on that path that I thought I was going on. Because I, frankly, am a totally different person. I have grown up a lot. Thank goodness. I'm 64. Well, I hope I've grown up. I've grown up a lot. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I remember the day that I changed a tail light in my car all by myself. Went to the AutoZone, bought the replacement bulb, got some screwdrivers, went into the trunk and figured out how to change that light. I was proud. That's a silly little thing to be proud of, but hey, I didn't have the money to pay somebody else to do it. And frankly, I didn't want to. I wanted to do it myself. And it was a big moment because it sticks out in my mind. It comes up in my memory talking about this because it gave me confidence that there's a lot of things I didn't know how to do that I know how to do now. And it gave me the confidence to try new things and to try to do things I didn't think I could do. That's basically what life is. Life throws you things that you do not expect. And I'm sure everybody watching here, if you're over 20 and sometimes under 20, unfortunately, you've got a line that's before and after. It's what you do with that after that makes a difference. When I look back now, I think I am glad. I'm glad that I found out who that person really was. I'm glad that they showed themselves to be who who they really were, and I didn't spend the next 40 years of my life with someone who was pretending. I'm very thankful that my children were resilient enough, and believe me, it's been painful for them as well, still is sometimes, to not have a father in the house. And I'm sure there are things that I'm not even aware of, ways that it has affected them. But they've all been able to make lives for themselves and learn from that, hopefully. And that's one of the biggest lessons, is to learn something from it. Why go through all that pain if you're not going to get some benefit out of it? And again, that's our choice. Sometimes when we go through a storm like this, it doesn't destroy you, although sometimes you wish it would. Usually, if you allow it, it'll strip away the things that weren't really you to start with. That's something that I've learned. And I hope that if you're going through a time like this, that you will give yourself a break. Know that however you're dealing with it is okay, as long as it's moving forward, as long as you're not helping with the destruction. Don't self-destruct. Learn how to move forward. Sometimes we don't get past things. Sometimes we just move forward with that thing to teach us what we need to know for the next stage of our life. The quote that I started out with is, life is full of moments. Some are good, some are bad, and we don't know the difference. Sometimes we don't know the difference until many years later. Something that we thought was the most horrible thing, we can find some good in it. What's your before and after? What's that line that changed everything? What's that event that changed everything? If you feel comfortable, share that in the comments with us, because one of the benefits of going through that before and after is being able to help other people. Maybe someone else needs to hear your story. Maybe you need to tell your story. If so, join us in the comments. Be sure and like and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to hear from you soon.
Welcome back now. Cheers.